Hello everybody, this is PitchSkullBlack here, back with what is probably the most delayed video event on my channel ever, the 5th anniversary questions and answers video. Today I shall be answering 24 different questions from a total of 6 people, so without further ado, let us dive in. First off, some questions from IB Productions. Do you think Dr. Forever will return? Dr. Forever is a YouTuber I have always admired despite what happened between us in 2017 due to my own faults and huge misjudgments. I've always liked his style of videos and his own unique way of approaching Doctor Who content. In my view, he has built up quite a legacy with his channel, and if he was never to upload again, I wouldn't mind, as I feel that he has ended his journey pretty amazingly with unboxing the Alan Wingates of Auton and Caves, as well as the 1971 annual. I wouldn't be against more content from him at all, as I know that he is more than capable of making some fantastic videos, and I would be more than supportive if he was to return. But do I think he will return? I honestly don't know. At the end of the day, in my view, a hobby is a hobby, and if you don't enjoy said hobby anymore, that's fair play. We all move on at some point in our lives and also need to take a break if you're a YouTuber, so if it turns out just to be a massive break he's taking, that's fair play. I've taken breaks in the past. There was about a 3-week delay between my Lethbridge Stewart Part 1 live stream and me and the Internet Doctor Who and Furries. That's just because I wanted to get more Phase 2 videos sort of works on, and I feel like it would have been best for us to leave all of the Phase 1 closed down videos to April, this being one of them. But overall, I honestly don't know. I personally don't feel I really don't have much of a say in this matter at all, as it's his channel, not mine. I'm not saying that he will or won't return at all. All I'm saying is that I would be more than supportive of him returning. We make more Try Not to Laughs. I was going to try and get a second Try Not to Laugh out on April 1st, but I think that release date at this point of this recording is looking a little hazy at this moment. But I am working on a second Doctor Who Try Not to Laugh, and I'm thinking it will most likely be my last one. What is your favourite Doctor Who story for each of the Doctors? William Hartnell, An Unearthly Child, Patrick Troughton, Fury from the Deep, John Pertwee, Inferno, Tom Baker, Logopolis, Peter Davidson, Resurrection of the Daleks, Colin Baker, Vengeance on Varos, Sylvester McCoy, Survival, Paul McGann, I'll just go for the book Seeing Eye, as there isn't much in terms of TV, Christopher Eccleston, Dalek, David Tennant, Turn Left, Matt Smith, The Pandorica Opened the Big Bang, Peter Capaldi, Heaven Sent. And finally, what are your opinions on Ghostlight? I've only watched this story once, so I'd actually stick by my 2 rating that I gave it in that review all that time ago. Up next we have the aforementioned review wizard, Dr. Forever. Are you excited for Twice Upon a Time? I'm triggered! Best episode from Series 10. I actually had to look up what episodes were in this godforsaken series, as I had completely forgotten about every single one, to be honest. But from this stream of liquid fecal meter that is Series 10, well enough in time. Best Cyberman story. Taking a multimedia stance to this question, I would have to say the Big Finish audio, the ISOS network. I won't say too much, but in short, this is an utterly fantastic audio, which combines elements of the Patrick Troughton stories, The Web of Fear and The Invasion, and one of the greatest musical scores I've ever heard from a Doctor Who story. In terms of TV, I would have to say Tomb of the Cybermen or The Invasion. Another Dimensions gang member now with some questions from South Park 333 Gaming. What are your top 10 Doctor Who novels? My top 10 Doctor Who novels would be, in no particular order, Falls of Shadow, The Romance of Crime, The Murder Game, Shakedown, The Witch Hunters, Seeing Eye, Original Sin, The Stonehouse, A Morality Tale, A Cabinet of Light. Would you rather burn your entire Doctor Who collection or kill Donald Trump? Kill Donald Trump with a fire made of nothing but copies of the Drostan's Curse, The Shining Man and Oh No It Isn't. What is your least favourite story or episode from each of the Doctors? William Hartnell, The Chase. Patrick Troughton, The Space Pirates. Controversial choice now for John Pertwee, The Time Warrior. Tom Baker, The Power of Kroll. Peter Davidson, Warriors of the Deep. Colin Baker, The Ultimate Bow. Sylvester McCoy, Silver Nemesis. Paul McGann, I would just go for The Book of Dying Days as there isn't much in terms of TV. Christopher Eccleston, Boomtown. David Tennant, The End of Time, which I know is probably another controversial choice as some people actually like The End of Time, but whatever, I don't particularly like it at all. Matt Smith, Let's Kill Hitler, and Peter Capaldi, Twice Upon a Time. Can't believe I had to talk about that episode again, god fucking damn it. Which is better, Lungbarrow or The Dying Days? Lungbarrow, as it is so much more competent of a read and a lot better and easier to take seriously in terms of an actual functional book. Materialising into our next set of questions now with TARDIS Traveller. What is your favourite and least favourite season? I'm just going to stick with classic Doctor Who on this one, as I don't really know in terms of new series. Season 7 for best classic Who season, and Trial of a Time Lord for the worst classic season. If you could revive one missing story, however erasing another, what story would you bring back and delete? E.g. revive Dalek's Master Plan and delete Time Lash. Revive the Dalek's Master Plan and delete the mental scar inducing Twice Upon a Time. But Doctor Who book and worst Doctor Who book. The Murder Game for the best Doctor Who book I have read, and Oh No It Isn't for the worst without question. If you could turn a Doctor Who book into an episode, what would it be? I would have said The Cabinet of Light, as this novella has such a deep and layered with atmospheric mystery. I feel like all the elements of this adventure would transform magnificently into a Philip Hinchcliffe-esque story in the right hands. If you could turn an audio into a Doctor Who episode, what would it be? Home Truths. Is it like akin to being the Chimes of Midnight for the first Doctor? A story that would probably be a bit too technically ambitious to be realised as a story back in the 60s, but it is an audio that I think would work well as an atmospheric slice of Doctor Who television. Next up we have some questions from ILZG2000. Which Doctor Who book would you never wanted to be adapted for TV for reasons of either crap, too gory, too sexy, etc.? Oh No It Isn't, as this is the most vile, putrid Doctor Who book I've ever read, an experience so embarrassingly and cringe-inducingly awful that I'd not want to wish it on my worst enemies. Well, maybe the anti-furry community should experience it once in a while, or maybe I should just torture that community with it, as that community is fucking pathetic if you've seen me, the Internet, Doctor Who and Furries, one of my previous videos. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. Oh No It Isn't, as it is the most vile and putrid Doctor Who book I've ever read. Is there a period in history or a particular character that you would like the Doctor to visit that he hasn't done already? Turning the wording of your question into a technicality, if he ever gets the chance to meet the furry telephone, I would like to see that a lot, as I think that will just be adorable. Is there any book you haven't gotten yet? Virgin New Adventure, Virgin Missing Adventure, PDA, EDA that you still really want? Downtime, as it's the last one I need for all of the Great Intelligence novels, whom is my favourite villain. What book were you so eager to get, but when you finally got it and read it, you were disappointed by it? There is quite a few entries that I could actually select for this, such as the 11th Tiger and the Dying Days, but I would actually have to award the recipient of this question to an entire range of Doctor Who books, that range being Time Hunter. This is a range of Doctor Who books that I have completed in terms of collecting, and I've only read 9 out of the 12 that there are, and only 4 of which I would describe as being good and worthy of being reread. This was a range that really appealed to me, and I was eagerly anticipating it as being one of my favourite ranges of Doctor Who books, which was even further perpetuated by the opener novella The Cabinet of Light, which is just amazing. But overall I have been let down immensely by this range of novellas, all of which seem so squished, even Cabinet of Light in retrospective, and too compacted for their own good. If this range were a fully fleshed out novel, something like the past Doctor Adventures, I feel that this range would have been a lot better, as it seems that the ideas it has just don't have enough breathing room, which in turn leads a lot of them, or pretty much all of them actually, even the good ones, to feel rushed somewhat. Is there any Doctor Who adventures in any media that you would like to have swapped places with one of the companions so that you could go through that location time period yourself? I would have loved to have gone through the journey of Marco Polo. I've always been a massive fan of Oriental architecture, so going through the Mongolian desert, through all the space stations and the cities that they went through in the story would just be amazing for me. And last and by no means least, the amazing Harry Williams productions with these final 3 questions he asked me across Facebook. What got you into Pink Floyd? My parents. I always remember listening to their CD copies of The Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here in the car when I was a lot younger. So early on I was already a fan. This was further rekindled when they released their final album, The Endless River, in 2014, which then further boosted my liking for the band and in turn rekindled it. That event that was Pink Floyd releasing their last album was also the igniter for my love of music today from there, and getting curious about other bands. I then got into Daft Punk, Kraftwerk, Gorillaz, bits and pieces of Yes, and various other bands that I like today, such as Radiohead. In terms of asking another question that might be brought up from myself answering this question, my favourite Pink Floyd release would have to be the live album Pulse, as in my opinion this is such an epic experience of all eras of Pink Floyd, which at the same time transforms studio tracks into basically brand new songs, such as Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, with how different they are to being the studio version. Oh, and who could forget that second solo from Comfortably Numb at the tail end. What are 5 Doctor Who books that you couldn't live without? This and the next question were easily the trickiest to answer out of all of the questions that I got given. In terms of taking this question from the direction of, if you had to keep your entire Doctor Who book collection and only keep 5, I would have to say that I would keep 1. The Murder Game, as it is such an amazing tribute to 60s era Doctor Who as a whole, and is easily the greatest 60s era Doctor Who book I have ever read, hands down. Number 2, Falls the Shadow. Picture the Mind Robber, the Seeds of Doom and Cash the Valve put into a blender, a combo that would most likely never work as it sounds, and here Daniel A. Mahoney manages to create one of the most epic, mind-boggling and creative Doctor Who books that I have ever read. I would even go as far to say that it's probably the most creative I have ever read. Then number 3 to number 5, I would actually have to keep the trilogy of Lethbridge Stewart books, The Forgotten Son, Time Squared and Night of the Intelligence. This trilogy of Doctor Who spin-off books just means so much to me. Okay, it's not perfect, as Night does have some pretty big pacing problems at the start, and none of these books get a 10 out of 10, believe it or not, but this trio of books are such a big and worthwhile contribution to what is my favourite Doctor Who villain of all time, the Great Intelligence, to the point where I would just be completely and utterly distraught if they weren't in my life. I have reviewed all 3 in this book trilogy, and I would highly recommend my review on Night of the Intelligence. Out of all 66 Doctor Who book reviews I have done today, that one stands as what in my opinion is the best one I have ever done. If you could only save one Doctor Who book range from being thrown into a volcano, what range would it be? As you would probably have guessed from my answer to Harry's previous question, I would have to say that what is currently my favourite range of Doctor Who books, the Lethbridge Stewart books. I'm slightly tempted to pick the past Doctor adventures for the sake of more variety, but no, I'm keeping this range purely because of that aforementioned TGI trilogy. I've only read 4 books from this range, and at the time of writing this is easily my favourite range of Doctor Who books, purely based on the ambition and ideas it has. Sure, there's only about 20 total different books or novellas from it so far, but what it has in terms of it is so grandiose and wonderful. And there you go guys, that was my 5th anniversary questions and answers video. So like, favorite, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. PitchSkullBlack, dematerializing.